I am the commander of Arland Kelley Post 1569. I'm so happy you could join us this evening in unveiling this wonderful historical G.A.R. marker. It was made possible from a grant from William G. Pomeroy Foundation. We're very fortunate and grateful for this marker to be dedicated and installed at our Legion. At this time, I would like to introduce Anton Schwartzmuller, the Sons of the Union Volunteers of the Civil War, Abraham Lincoln Camp number 6, members of the 1st Division Dragons. Anton is the gentleman who made this possible. We would like to say a few words, he would like to say a few words about our marker dedication. Anton?
Oh, what an amazing crowd. I haven't spoken to a crowd this large since I was a school teacher. That was over 30 years ago. So I have my own speech, but I also need to read something from the Pomeroy Foundation. So we'll start with that one. Congratulations from all of us at the William G. Pomeroy Foundation on the dedication of your New York State historical marker. We send our greetings from Syracuse as you commemorate this historic hall, originally established as the Grand Army of the Republic, Thompson Post 190. We wish we could be with you for this special occasion. At the Pomeroy Foundation, one of our main initiatives is to help people celebrate their community's history. We do this by offering grants for historical markers and plaques nationwide, as well as several other history-related initiatives, such as National Historic Marker Day, which is held annually on the last Friday of April. We feel strongly that markers help educate the public, encourage pride of place, and promote historic tourism. How did our mission come about? My dad, Bill Pomeroy, who is our founder and trustee, has been passionate about history since his childhood. He has fond memories of riding in the car with my grandfather and seeing historical markers that they would stop for and read together. In 2005, when my dad established the foundation, he made funding historical markers a priority. He learned that New York State had stopped funding markers decades ago and left it to the communities to raise funds on their own. This was the impetus for the foundation's first marker grant program to fill that gap in funding, and later became the springboard for several more programs with a variety of themes, including our new historic transportation program. Being able to highlight this historic property through the lens of a marker is important, and by doing so, you're making local history a priority. Built in 1888, this historic hall originally served the G.A.R. and was named in honor of the local Thompson brothers, James and Cordenio, who were killed in service during the American Civil War. We commend your efforts and send our appreciation to the American Legion Arland Kelley Post, number 1569, the Sons of Union Veterans of the Civil War, Abraham Lincoln Camp 6, Rochester, New York, the Dalton community, and all those who were involved with obtaining this historical marker. We know it will help to ensure your local history will be remembered for generations to come. From all of our dedicated staff and trustees at the Pomeroy Foundation, congratulations. Warm regards, Darren Pomeroy, trustee, William G. Pomeroy Foundation. That's where the money came from. Okay, here's the speech I put together. Thank you all for coming here today for the dedication of this historical marker provided through a grant from the William G. Pomeroy Foundation through my organization, Abraham Lincoln Camp number 6, Sons of Union Veterans of the Civil War. Who are the Sons and what do we do? We are a fraternal organization dedicated to preserving the history and legacy of veteran heroes who fought and worked to save the Union in the Civil War. We were founded in 1881 as the Sons of Veterans of the United States of America, renamed Sons of Union Veterans of the Civil War in 1925, chartered by an act of Congress in 1954, and we became the legal successor to the Grand Army of the Republic in 1956. The Grand Army of the Republic was the largest Civil War veterans organization. Members of the SUVCW are descendants of Union soldiers and sailors who served honorably, and we also admit associates without ancestry. Orders allied with the SUVCW are the ladies of the G.A.R., Women's Relief Corps, auxiliary to the SUVCW and the Daughters of Union Veterans of the Civil War. In recent years, the SUVCW became an IRS 501c3 organization, making us eligible to apply for the grant for this historical marker and accept charitable donations. The SUVCW has programs for education, monuments, registration of Civil War veterans' graves, college scholarships, annual ceremonies, and more. We are always looking for members and ideas. We need you to join us or our allied orders. Speaking of ideas, I was casting about for a G.A.R. hall in need of a historical marker and came upon the hall in nearby Hunt and this one here in Dalton. The hall in Hunt was easy pickings because it is on the National Register of Historic Places. We acquired a William G. Pomeroy National Register of Historic Places marker for the hall in Hunt. However, installation has been delayed by construction projects. Acquiring a marker for this astounding hall in Dalton was more challenging. First, I needed to contact the commander of Arland Kelley Post. I could not find a name or a number for the commander, much less even a Google Street View. I happened upon a name and number for someone who attended something at the hall, and he readily ended the mystery of the commander by providing me with Bob's name and number. I explained our historical marker offer to Bob, and he and Mr. Clancy met with me last year at the hall here and gave me a tour. Were it not for the graciousness, trust, and communication of the commander with me, an out-of-town stranger, this historical marker project would not have been successful. I did let them know that Tom Cook of the Noonday Historical Society is a member of our camp, and my daughter Gretchen happened to have been a teacher for several years in the local school district. The William G. Pomeroy Foundation is exacting in the matter of requiring primary source materials in support of text on the historical marker in their grant programs. Benefiting from the work of Tom Cook in years past, I was able to gather material from the Noonday News to satisfy the foundation that this hall was built by the J.L. and C.S. Thompson Post 190 of the G.A.R. in 1888. My favorite snippet from the newspaper is one that states that just as amazed that these people were just as amazed that this was really going to happen, or something's really going to happen. When they noticed lumber being dropped off in January of 1888 on the property. Just as it amazed the people of the community in 1888 that this hall actually happened, it continues to amaze today, not just by its modest grandeur, but by its condition, which is a tribute to the Arland Kelley Post in this community. G.A.R. posts were commonly named for a local soldier who perished in the war, and in this case, two brothers. It is important that we have their names on this historical marker for any number of reasons. Paramount is their supreme sacrifice, but also that neither has a gravestone. They were buried as unknown. Another key piece of evidence in support of the grant for this marker was the original charter and list of founding members of the G.A.R. Post 190, a copy of which I acquired from the New York State Archives in Albany. The post was chartered in 1884. If you have a program, you may follow along as I read the list of founding members, though I deleted one member who misrepresented his service. First, we have Charles H. Burton Bentley, First Lieutenant, Company K, 16th Illinois Cavalry. And he died at the age of 85 in 1895. And he's right over here in Dalton Cemetery. Homer Smith, Corporal, Company B, 104th New York Infantry, wounded at Antietam. And he is in Philadelphia National Cemetery. He died in 1915 at the age of 73. James Lyon, Private, Company H, 58th New York Militia, Hunts Hollow Cemetery in Portage, died in 1922 at the age of 77. James W. Rogers, Private, Company I, 1st New York Dragoons. He is in Dayton, Ohio National Cemetery, but there is a cenotaph over here in Dalton Cemetery. He died in 1903, age 58 or 59. We have John Threehouse, Private, 1st New York Dragoons. He is in Dalton Cemetery. He died in 1915 at age 81 or 2. We have George F. Rogers, Corporal, Company D, 1st New York Veteran Cavalry. He's in Dalton Cemetery. In 1889, he died at age 63 or 4. Theodore McGee, Sergeant Major, 104th New York Infantry. He is in Woodlawn National Cemetery in Elmira. He died in 1904. George White, Private. He was drafted, Company I, 2nd New York Veteran Cavalry, Oakwood Cemetery, Lunday. And we don't know when he died, but after 1918. Just a few more, if you can tolerate this. Charles S. Lind, Private, Company M, 2nd New York Mounted Rifles, and Irish Service in Company D, 115th New York Infantry, and he's in Dalton Cemetery, and he lived all the way till 1929. We have Edwin M. Hamilton, Private, Company I, 136th New York Infantry, in Guy's Corners Cemetery in Lunday. We have Aaron Burroughs, Private, Company D, 4th New York Heavy Artillery, in Hunts Hollow Cemetery in Portage. He died in 1886. We have Thomas Dory, Private, Company K, 184th New York Infantry, in Short Tract Cemetery in Granger. Died in 1913. We have John Simpson, Private, Company D, 188th New York Infantry, in Dalton Cemetery. Died in 1893 at age 65 or 6. Henry Sumner Lyon, Private, Company H, 136th New York Infantry, Hunts Hollow Cemetery. And he was the Portage Town Supervisor. He died in 1923, age 83 to 4. And the last one on that list on your program is George Pitcher, Private, 9th New York Heavy Artillery, Oakwood Cemetery, Lunday. He died in 1926 at Bath, which was where the old soldiers' home was. He was 77 or 78. Members surely came and left as the years passed. Of the original members, only one on that list remained when the post closed in 1926. Were you paying attention to when they died? In 1929, he was Charles S. Lind. The last members of the post transferred ownership to the Sons of Veterans, who named their camp number 50 in his honor. Ownership passed from the Sons to the American Legion. We are thrilled to see that the Legion has preserved the flag of the Sons of Veterans Camp number 50 and mounted it for all visitors to see. The Sons of yesteryear made the right decision to transfer ownership to the American Legion of this community. Thank you very much.
Now I will welcome Tom Burt, our local historian. He is going to talk about the history of the Dalton G.A.R. Hall and the Post. Tom?
Welcome, everyone. I don't know about the whole local historian part, but anyway, as Anton had talked about a lot of it, first I'm just going to kind of go through the timeline of the hall. The G.A.R. received the G.A.R. Hall in Warsaw, the post in Warsaw, received a direction at right around Christmas of '84 to muster a post here in Dalton. So they did rather quickly. They formed a group and they actually installed their officers January 6th of '85 in Dalton. And most of those members came from the hall post in Hunt. So there's a post in Nunday, there's a post in Hunt, and there's a post here. And they did name the post here after the two brothers that were killed in the Civil War, James Luther, J.L., and Cordelia Smith Thompson, C.S. Thompson. So they started in January of '85, and it's documented both in the records here and also in the Nunday News. They had the installation of the officers. You talked about Charles Lind. Charles Lind actually was the first commander of this post installed on that first year. So, moving forward a couple years to November of '87, they appointed a building committee to look at locating a property to build the hall on, and to plan out the hall, the design of it, and to begin construction, which they did rather shortly after that. As Anton had said, there was a There was an article in the Monday News towards the end of January of '88 said that they have some timber that's been delivered to the property, and it looks like this thing's going to happen. It looks like it's going to be built. So they're looking pretty positive. Later that year in April, they laid the cornerstone, and later that month, the foundation was completed. And at that point, they had spent a whopping $246 in materials to lay the foundation and get things started. Later that year, they met again to authorize the purchase of some more materials and to purchase a stove, which they did. And shortly after that, in October, they started planning the Christmas dance and New Year's dance. So the hall began in January and was finished by the end of the year, and they were in play. So that was '88, and moving on to '89, the next year, they just built a brand new hall. It hadn't even been open a year. They decided they needed to add on. So they added on a 30-foot addition in the back, and that was done in '89, and that served them quite well for several years. In '92 was when they finally paid off the property. They had mortgaged the property initially from Sant Parker, and his wife, and they paid off the mortgage in '92. So it was fully owned by the G.A.R. at that time. 1911. Well, let me back up just a little bit. The SOV, the Son of the Veterans, they were formed locally here in '86. They were formed initially in Hunt and immediately removed themselves to Dalton. So that's when that unit was formed and joined. And they met here, and this was also their home. Moving on a little bit to, and you have to remember that the G.A.R. Hall, the G.A.R. members, could only be there because they were veterans themselves of the Civil War. They couldn't join, they couldn't be invited in or anything like that. So as they got older, they could see that the end was coming for their unit or their group. So in 1911, we have a picture in the Nunda Historical Society of both of the G.A.R. members, and I think there's 15 of them. In 1911, they had them listed as 19 members total, so 15 of them were here for Decoration Day. And also the Sons of Veterans were also taken, a photo was taken at the same time with them. The very next day they met, the G.A.R. members met and decided to hand over the hall to the Sons of Veterans. So the property transferred from the G.A.R. members to the Sons of Veterans in 1911 with the express permission, I should say, or that the G.A.R. members would be able to use the hall until there were no more. So, and as Anton had expressed, that they went on. They met until 26, and at that time, it kind of just dropped off what they were doing. There wasn't a whole lot written about them anymore, and at that point, there weren't only a couple left. So, in '46, there's documentation that they had a special meeting. The Sons of Veterans had a special meeting, and at that point they decided to turn the hall over to the Arland Kelley Post, which at that point wasn't even in existence. They had to charter the Post a couple of months later, and about fully a year later was when the transfer of the hall happened to go from the Sons of the Veterans to the American Legion. They've held it ever since. So to talk about the building a little bit, the Historical Society had a photo the other day showing the Sons of Veterans in front of the hall, and it didn't quite look like this, but if you look at the building itself, you'll see that the tall windows, and if you look at the doorway inside, you'll see that there's some windows above the door, and they show in that photograph. And we figured that photograph was taken before 1910, because the newspaper, Nunda News, had in there that in May 28th of 1910, there was a brand new cement sidewalk put in to the hall, and which was quite a great addition. And that photograph shows a wood platform bringing to the hall. So this whole tower on the front was added on later. And to the best of what I could figure out, that was put in by the Sons of Veterans around 1917, right in that area. Because beginning in July of 1917, they installed state-of-the-art movie equipment, movie projection equipment here. And this was one of the very first movie houses in the area. The Sons of Veterans showed movies every Saturday night. They were silent movies, but they showed them along with music for the community. And this hall, in addition to the movies and the music, this hall served the public and served the community in almost any fashion that you could imagine. When one of the stores burned in town, they moved all the equipment and all of the materials that they had into here for a short period, and they ran their store out of here. There were religious revivals held out of this hall all the time. Traveling doctors came in and used the hall. The Dalton High School, the graduations were held here, their dances were held here, their musical performances and their plays and everything were held here. So this hall really was a staple of the community, and it was kind of the area that everybody came to, and it served us very well over the years. So once the American Legion has taken it over, they've kept it up very well. I know Bob and I were talking the other day that part of the reason why this is still standing as strongly as it is that there was a group back in the 80s, 70s, 80s called the Dalton Improvement Committee. And they raised the funds and some of the labor to put a roof on this and to paint it and to do some repairs to it, which were greatly appreciated. So there's been a lot of community support of the hall over the years too. So the one thing I wanted to just kind of wrap up with was talk a little bit about the Thompson brothers. Most of you know the Thompsons around Nunde. These two brothers were the children of Luther and Martha Holland Thompson. And their farm still stands pretty much the way that it looked, at least the house, the way it did back then. It stands right down across from Quickley's, right on 408. That was the original Thompson farm. And James Luther was the oldest child, and James was born in 1838, and James was killed in he died in Belle Island, a prison camp in Belle Island. He was captured at Gettysburg, went to Belle Island, and was there for a few months, and then died of starvation. He was offered parole and refused to take it because that would have been derelict, and so he died in prison camp. Now his younger brother Corey. Corey was born in 41, and Corey or Cordino, he was killed in the Battle of Fredericksburg. And now my sister has several of the letters, and she is putting together a book on those letters between the two brothers. And for some time, James didn't know that Corey was alive. He knew that he'd been injured, but he didn't know if he was alive or what was happening. But so both of those boys were killed in the Civil War. They happen to be my third great grand uncles, and they have my cousin is here. She's there are several of us here from the Thompson family and Burke family. So other than that, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. We have Valerie Veely Griffin from the Nunde Historical Society joining us this evening. She would like to say a few words for us also.
Thank you. As we gather here tonight for the ceremony to dedicate this marker in honor of the former Thompson G.A.R. Post 190, now the home of Arland Kelley American Legion Post 1569. Let us be mindful of the significance of this structure and why we must preserve the building and others like it across our great nation. The men and women for whom structures such as this one are named did not intend to have a building or local units of an organization or a bridge or a highway named in their memory. Their only goal was to fight for what they believed in and come home to continue pursuing their dreams. We cannot turn a blind eye to our history and pretend it never happened, or tear it down because some might find it offensive. Our collective past is part of who we are. We must never lose sight of how far we have come and how very far we have yet to go. As you leave here tonight and in your travels going forward, look for these historic buildings sitting quietly along your route of travel and take a moment to reflect on the sacrifices made. Never forget that all gave some, but some gave all. Thank you.
I'd like to welcome Marilyn Walker. She is the Nunde Town Supervisor. She would like to say a few words for us.
Lucky you, it's going to be a few because we're getting wet out here. But I appreciate people who have these wonderful words for us. But you've kind of heard everything already. I'm just saying that the town of Nunde is just thrilled that this is going to happen. We love to see these Pomeroy signs. I stop all the time reading these, when I'm out and about. So it'll be something that people will be able to cherish in the future and know what really goes on here. And I know it's a blessing that this has been kept so well, because so many places we see now are kind of falling down or whatnot. And I know it's been made available to people for wedding receptions and all sorts of things that we've already heard tonight. But again, thank everybody that's out here tonight, and may God bless.
Thank you. I would like to invite Anton, Tom, Valerie up front for unveiling the placard.
Are we ready? Got the scissors? He got the scissors. Let you rip it off. Yeah. Stand back here. He's got scissors, Danny. Okay. Give him the arm down. All right. Thank you, Dan.
You might need somebody taller.
I'm not going to be able to help you there.
One of these guys behind us.
There you go. You got it.
We'd like to invite everybody inside the hall for a very informal program presentation about the Erie Railroad. The Nunde Society and William Burke are your presenters for this evening program. Refreshments are inside with coffee, cookies, and I'd like to take a special thanks for Tom Cook and his Nunde Historical Society for all the help with me on doing this. Thank you everyone for coming out.